The story of the 5-digit Submariner. Bernardo sent me an email a few days ago asking my advice and my opinions on the matter, and since he doesn't know many watch enthusiasts, thinking that we can all share this, it would make a very good discussion for all of us to talk through. This is a story about slight regrets and hindsight and many other factors, so we can definitely delve into the psychology of it all, but let's get through the email first. The watch I wanted from the start was the Rolex Submariner reference 16610. Could not afford it in 2002 when, with a few savings, I got the Omega Speedmaster reduced and wore it every day. In 2009, I had the opportunity to buy the Sub 16610, but instead got the Rolex Explorer 1 36mm. I think there's a self-conscious issue. At this point, I could buy the Sub, but was sold on the Explorer under the radar argument. It did not scratch the itch, and in 2011 I got the Explorer 2. The Sub 16610 was then discontinued, and I didn't like the fat lugs of the newer generation. In 2018 I start to explore the online watch community, YouTube, Chrono24, and find the old Sub available, but with a high premium. I wait, get Longines, Zinn, and a Black Bay 58 that I thought would clear the Submariner fixation. Earlier this year, after seeing that the prices on the Submariner didn't drop before the new releases increased the prices, I bought a 2009 Box and Papers 16610 on Chrono24 for £10,000, almost double retail of 2009, when I had it and declined it. I bought a new old stock to ensure the first owner thrill. The issues are the following. I thought about selling a few watches to justify getting the Sub, but got attached to the watches, the experiences with them and how they bring diversity to the collection. I wanted to sell not to restore the funds but to keep a short, sane and wearable collection. And he sent me a link to his collection so we can talk through that very briefly. As I bought the Sub 16610 new old stock, I can't clear the idea that it was a whim and I couldn't remove the stickers and start wearing the watch. It must be the notion that if I was not perceptive enough to buy it at retail when I had the opportunity, now I can't excuse buying at this price. This is the watch I wanted from the start, but now there is a whole collection behind it. What would you do? Difficult. Let's start by briefly running through the watches in your collection. You have an Explorer 2 from 2011, black dial, stunning. Explorer 1 from 2009, 36mm. Speedmaster reduced from 2002. Longines Master Collection Moonphase chronograph, Tudor Black Bay 58. A Zinn 356 Pilot chronograph, a Tag Heuer Carrera 39mm, a Steinhardt Ocean 139, and a Tag Heuer Link chronograph. And now you've added the golden child, the Submariner. In the email, there was no real statement about how he felt about the watch. Did he still feel the same lust for it as he did all those years ago? Because here's the thing. It took him nearly 20 years to own this watch. 20 whole years. I can't think of many people who've been able to lust after one watch for so long and still feel as committed to owning it now as they did all the way back then. In my case, for the watches that I really wanted, it took 3 years. So what we should consider, and this is very obvious, that over those last 18 years you have matured very much in this area. You've bought more pieces, you've experienced some more, you've seen what else is out there. And now it's getting your head around justifying the price of this watch and what you get at the end, and whether or not it really was worth the overall price. I'm afraid to say that's an answer that you have to give yourself. It's not something that anyone else could tell you. But the level of dedication and commitment that went into finding this watch and the overall purchase and everything has to say something about how you feel. So considering the price of this piece, yes, you overpaid, but you got a new old stock 2009 model. These are very sought after because they are the last of the 5-digit references. The watch largely has all of the modern components in a smaller case size. So you're getting superluminova, sapphire crystals, a diver extension. It's a no-holes case, solid end-link model. Many would argue to be one of the best and final hurrahs in this area for the family. So my opinions around the subject of consolidation, I think it's so important. I really do. Living a more minimalist life saves you a lot of hassle, saves you a lot of toil, a lot of extra thought process. Wouldn't you find it amazing that the watches that you have, be it in a small collection, you don't even need to think about. You just pick one and that's you for the week. The biggest bonus about consolidation is that you can create better memories with less pieces. Now granted, you must have had some amazing experience in those other watches, but it is down to you, again. If I were you, I would choose 3 or 4 from the selection that you've shared with me and sell the rest. But let's put all that aside. Let's think about the Submariner and, we can say the privilege of having this watch at the moment. Consider the extra price you paid as school fees. In a way, we can look at it as both punishment, but also justification. You wanted this watch so much that you paid the amount that you did. And now that you have it, you don't want to wear it. You don't feel obliged to because of the price it's now worth. We have a viewer on this page who experienced the exact same thing with a Panda Daytona a couple of months back. He will remain nameless. But he felt the exact same way. Buying a watch grey market for such an exorbitant amount of money does sting, and it kind of ruins the whole concept of wanting to own and wear the watch at the same time. But your case is very different because this is an old model. This is not being produced anymore. This watch is in new old stock condition. It's never been touched. Following you along this journey, it feels like you've climbed Mount Everest. Now that you've gotten to the top, you keep your eyes closed. You're not going to take in the view. And I'll put this ball in your court. You can answer with either yes or no. You're sitting in a coffee shop one day, minding your own business, and a beautiful woman comes and sits in front of you and says, "Hey, I'd like to take you out for a drink. You seem like a nice guy. No strings attached. Let's go have some fun." At this moment, the woman is sitting in front of you asking for this favor, and all you really have to do is say yes, as I'm sure most of us will. So consider that you've done all the hard yards and you've experienced so much, and all the watch is wanting you to do now is to wear it. It can't be that bad. I don't like to think of watches as investments, as things to put your money in, as is what's always spoken about on this platform. Granted, you feel a bit cheated because you've paid more for this watch, but really it's such a cathartic story. It's a story of lusting after one watch, trying to fill the void with so many others, never really scratching that itch until you finally have it. Now yes, maybe the final result is a bit lackluster. It's soured by the fact that it wasn't the most ideal situation, but you got the watch in the end. A really sought after model that is brand spanking new. All you have to do now is wear it and enjoy it. Put money aside for a second and just think to yourself, it's a steel watch. It's a steel Submariner. Something that I've yearned for 18 years. Now I have it. It might not feel like an achievement, but to me, it sure does. If I had to give you a suggestion around the pieces that I reckon you should keep, the Rolexes need to stay, especially now where we are in the world. Rolex prices are climbing, much to my chagrin. The Speedmaster Reduced being the first watch that you picked up, keep that as well. As for the rest, you can make up your own mind. The aesthetic of the Submariner should be its own, and in that way maybe the Explorer is a watch that you could consider selling, because now is a time to enjoy this watch that you've been looking forward to having for such a long time. Just remember that time flies and life is about experiences. You've experienced a lot. It doesn't mean that the watches need to represent this, that they need to stay with you. The watch that you wanted from the beginning is now in your possession, and I say wear it. I would go even so far to say that you should only have 3 watches in your collection and sell the rest. Set yourself a new goal for the next 10 years. And enjoy wearing the watch that began it all.